Last week we were in swimsuits and this week we're in jackets.
We are back from Mexico. We are currently in Indiana, back at my parents' farm, just to have the camper here so we can get back to all those fun projects we need to work on. We are putting in the Mopeka Pro propane sensors. If you were here for a while, you know that last year we upgraded our propane tanks to 30-pound from 20-pound tanks. Mike has wanted these for forever, and I'll be honest, I'm like, why do we need propane sensors? When it runs out, it runs out.
Well, it's because I'm always the one that's got to go outside and change the propane over, and it always happens at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
When it's freezing out.
You're laying in bed, you're all cozy, and then all of a sudden you wake up freezing. It's happened to us multiple times. So we don't have a 12-volt fridge, so when we're boondocking, we use propane for our fridge, for our stove, and this time of year we use it for our furnace.
We have been in Indiana for 2 winters now. I don't know what's coming up this winter. I really don't know what our future holds, but we are preparing for cold weather because it's already here.
So we're gonna get the propane tanks off the front of the camper. We're taking them inside because, as you can see, she's all bundled up. We're gonna go to the pole barn. We're gonna install these Mopeka sensors, and I thought I'd show you guys how to do them. So we upgraded our propane tanks from a 20-pound tank to these 30-pound tanks, and it doesn't sound like it's that significant of a difference, but a 20-pound tank holds 4.6 gallons of propane, and the 30-pound tanks hold 7. So it really is a pretty significant difference, especially when you have 2 of them. So if you want to upgrade your tanks to 30-pound tanks, these came from RecPro. You can save 5% by using code lifererouted at checkout. Okay, so when I was looking for this stuff online, I found this whole package off of Amazon. The package includes 2 sensors, and it includes this wireless display monitor as well. We're gonna be installing this after we install the sensors. I'll be talking more about this display. And we bought the Halo ring. So Mopeka also still sells a spacer for the bottom of your propane tank. So before you purchase this stuff, go out and check your propane tanks, because the majority of the propane tanks that are for smaller like grills or RVs, they don't have a half inch gap at the bottom. You need a half-inch gap to be able to put your sensor underneath of your propane tank. Go out and measure, or I feel confident in saying that the majority of the propane tanks, you just need this. The sensors include some metal spacers, but I'm not confident that they won't move around as you're moving your RV, so I went ahead and bought this because I think that this spacer is way more stable. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is clean the bottom of this tank to make sure that we get a good connection with the sensor. The sensors are magnetic, so once they go on there, you can move them around a little bit, but you do need a nice clean surface to start with. So I just got a rag, and I have some alcohol that I'm gonna put on here to make sure that it is nice and clean. All right, now Steph has told me that it does not take long for alcohol to dry, but while it's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and put on this Halo ring on the bottom here. Kind of start on the edge and just work your way around. This not only provides a space for your Mopeka sensor, but it also helps prevent rust on that ring. Now that the bottom is cleaned off and I have this ring installed, I'm gonna go ahead and download the Mopeka app. If you go into the Play Store or the Apple Store, you'll be able to find it under Mopeka's apps. So download that app, and then while that's downloading, you can get out all of the stuff from your package and make sure that it's all there. It will include your sensor, your dielectric gel, which goes on the back of your sensor, And then it does include 3 spacers, and these are the spacers that I was talking about, and I knew that it included these. These are just metal spacers that can go on the bottom, and I just don't think that it's stable enough for an RV. If you are storing this outside of your house or something like that where it's not moving, it's probably not a big deal, but because we travel in the camper, I'm not going to be using these. That's why I got the halo ring. Okay, so I'm actually not following the instructions because I think this is the best way to do it. Take your Mopeka sensor, set it on a flat surface, and then get on your phone and pull up the Mopeka app. So once you get your app open, you just press sync, make sure your Bluetooth is on, and press sync until it syncs up to your app. And you can see that it actually already popped up in like 5 seconds. And this is important as well. What you want to do is go into your tank size, and depending on what size tank you have, all the way up to 1,000 gallons, according to the app here, you can enter in the size of your propane tank. These, like I mentioned, are 30-pound tanks, so I'm going to choose 30. It comes standard as 20. I also found that out as well. You can also turn notifications on if it reaches below or above a certain threshold. So I'm going to set mine at around 25%. That way it sends me a push notification on my phone if my propane levels get below a certain amount. So what you want to do is you want to take your sensor and you want to take it to a completely flat surface. Now we're out in Steph's parents' pole barn, so the concrete floor is level. So I'm going to set it on the concrete, and I'm going to show you what we do next here. Just like that. And then I'm going to go in here, I'm going to click sensor position, and I'm going to click 0 sensor. And that will set that at a 0. That way when I'm putting it on the propane tank, it's more accurate. Okay, it's showing my propane tank is empty, which is obviously not on a tank. So I'm gonna go back to sensor position, and I'm gonna start my next step. Okay, so you take the back of this cover off, and you can see that it exposes this little button here, and right here on this button you're gonna put this dielectric grease on it. And I've seen some people on YouTube that have put these on there that I feel like have used way too much of this. So I'm gonna use just a little bit of it on the back of this. And then I'm gonna pull up my app here. I'm gonna click on my sensor position just so that I have it ready to go. And I will say also, if you're putting this on your base, it's not gonna show that it's in the center because you zeroed it on the ground. So you need to make sure that when you're actually looking at your sensor that it's level with the ground. And I'll show you that here in just a second. So try to find the middle of your propane tank, and if you guys really want to know the center, you can measure it and try to figure out exactly where the center is. We didn't do that, and I think this will work out just fine. So try to find the middle of your propane tank on the bottom. And if my lovely assistant will assist me, does that look about level?
What do you think, y'all? Did he get it about in the middle?
All right, so I'm gonna take my tank and I'm gonna again set it on a level spot on the ground and give it a second to straighten out. So it is showing that it's at 85%. So I think that's closer to what this is. That makes me feel a lot better. So both of these are installed now. So the only thing that I need to do is put them back on the camper, and then we're gonna get this wireless monitor out, and I'm gonna show you guys how to install that.
So we can mount this in the camper, but first you have to sync it to the sensors. So I will say the instructions are in this, so maybe open this up and get the instructions out before you start this project. But Well, it's pretty small, honestly. I honestly thought it was gonna be a little bit bigger than that too. It has a little battery protector, so I'm gonna pull that out. And then I'm gonna sync it similarly to how Mike synced these with the app. Again, maybe do this all together when you have these out and syncing, then go ahead and sync it to this. We didn't, it's gonna work totally fine. So there's 2 different buttons for 2 different tanks on here. I'm gonna push the first one until the lights start flashing, which I guess is just 1 push. And then I'm gonna press and hold the sync up to 10 seconds until the lights start flashing. Oh, that was really quick. All right, well that's pretty nice. I know that this is the emptier tank because this is the one Mike did first. So we'll do the second one now. Second button, I'm just gonna push it, the lights are flashing. I'm gonna push and hold the sync. And it says it's pretty full. I guess we'll go install them on the camper and see where we can mount this in the camper.
So never mind the junk behind the TV here. I wanted to put it here, but I did want to make sure that it does connect properly to both the propane tanks before I set this thing. You press it, it scans, and it pops right up. And I think this is going to be considerably faster than the app instead of pulling up your phone and loading it. So if you want a quick reading, I think this is probably the way to go. So I'm just gonna install it here. It did not come with screws, which I thought was kind of strange, but I did find some really short screws because I know there is some wiring here. The wiring harness goes back behind here for all the convenience center stuff. So I got really short screws to make sure that I don't hit any of those wires. That looks lovely. Okay. So there you go. That's the Mopeka Pro install, and this one came with the wireless monitor.
Yep. As always, we will keep you updated on how we like them. I am curious once we hit the road and the earthquake starts shaking, earthquake on wheels here. I'm curious how they'll work, but we'll keep you updated on that, so stick around.
Make sure that you guys check out the links below if you want to check any of this stuff out for yourselves. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.